And as we take another live look at this scene, just a reminder that pretty much the entire perimeter all around UNLV is surrounded. It is locked down. There's a lot of evacuation still currently in place. UNLV just still continues to reiterate to people, shelter in place. Police are going from building to building, evacuating people in an orderly fashion, taking them, those who need to go to the reunification center at the Las Vegas Convention Center, taking them in orderly fashions too. We've seen family and loved ones trying to gather outside the perimeter. Also, there's an elementary school that's in the perimeter off Cottage Grove Avenue. It was in the perimeter of UNLV, Paradise Elementary. They are going to be bused to Orr Middle School as well. So there's a lot of first responders out there helping college students, staff members, and also an elementary school that is in the adjacent area as well.
And Danny Maston has confirmed to us that RTC buses are taking students, UNLV students, to the Thomas and Mack, many of them forced to leave their car and their possessions behind them as they had to get out of their classrooms. So again, it's important to note that if you can't reach your student, it may be a case where they simply just don't have their phone with them. Shauna Kalafi's at the convention center. That's where this reunification center has been set up.
Yeah, people are reuniting inside of the north halls of the convention center. We are outside right now. There have been a few people that came out. We just spoke to a mother and daughter. The daughter is a student as well as an employee at UNLV. They were understandably very emotional, hugging, crying as they were reunited. The mother said as soon as she got that alert, actually from her daughter, who had let her know, we are on lockdown. This is not a drill. She says at first, she was hoping that it was a drill and that, of course, this wasn't an actual active shooter, as we learned. She says that this is something that she worries about every single day as both of her daughters go to school. One of them is in high school, the other one at UNLV. And this is a mother's worst fear. But of course, they are happy that their daughter is okay. Everybody is safe, but they're praying for the other families who were affected by this shooter. We know there were at least 3 victims in this shooting. Again, the reunification center has been set up here at the Las Vegas Convention Center inside of the North Halls. And if you need help with reunification, there has been a hotline set up for that as well. I'll send it back to you.
And we want to let folks know who are concerned about loved ones. Thank you so much, Shauna, who are concerned about loved ones who might be on campus. When police are going from building to building, students have told us that they've been asked to put their hands up in the air. They evacuate in an orderly fashion. A lot of them have left their cell phones there. Their bags are there. And so if you're having trouble getting a hold of someone, that might be the reason why. So this number is going to be your way to get a hold of your loved one as they are bused on RTC buses to the Las Vegas Convention Center.
So if you're just joining us now here at 2:57, here is a recap of what we know so far. A shooting happened on the campus of UNLV at about 11:45 this morning. There are at least 3 victims. Sheriff Kevin McMahill, met with reporters at about 1:30 this afternoon at the campus, and he said there is no further threat and that there is one suspect confirmed dead. We do not know the identity of this suspect, but what we do know is that Metro will hold another briefing at Metro headquarters at 5 o'clock this afternoon. That suspect was neutralized fairly quickly. We don't know if he was killed by an officer, a campus officer, or if he or she took their own life, but those are questions that are out there this evening.
And the large footprint of closures all across the UNLV area, across Maryland, across Tropicana, that is a massive crime scene at this point. And it's also where a number of evacuations are going underway. There are still, at this hour, buildings being evacuated one by one in an orderly fashion, and then students and staff being able to get on RTC buses and taken to the convention center. So that large footprint is still in place. Also, Harry Reid says that there are road closures around the airport as well, and that may impact your ability to get to the airport. And Harry Reid says to make sure to check your flight status to make sure your flight is not affected.
Here is Here's a statement released by Vitalant that we talked about a few moments ago. Vitalant sent approximately 50 additional units of blood products to an area hospital in response to the shooting, and we stand ready to provide more support if requested. Those who would like to support the community blood supply following this horrible incident are encouraged to give blood in the coming days and weeks. And just to give you a better idea of where this shooting happened, it happened behind a student union, that giant building you see. Just beyond that building is Beam Hall. That's where business students go for their classes, and that's where the shooting happened. So this was, as we heard from a student, this was the last full day of classes before final exams begin next week. We don't know if those will still happen, because oftentimes when something like this happens, schools and universities push back those final exams until after the break, just to give students some space to heal. So this is video taken earlier by Ryan Thorpe, who happens to be a former colleague of ours here at Fox 5 and works at the journalism school on the campus of UNLV at Hank Greenspun.
So at around 11:58 p.m., that's when a text message alert went out to students across the staff. There is an active shooter. This is not a drill. Run, hide, fight. And as we heard from so many students throughout the campus, they sheltered in place. They turned off the lights. They were quiet, hanging out in closets, hiding in closets, pressed up against the walls. And still, into this hour, there's a number of evacuations happening in place. So from the vantage point of that video from Ryan Thorpe, what you see right there, that large brick building, that's the student union. And then behind that, that's Beam Hall. That's the business building. I spoke to a student who had his class had just gotten out around 11:45. He walked out of the building and he was waiting for a student. He typically waits inside, but he waited outside this time. And he said he wasn't sure if it was gunshots or construction, but then that's when everyone realized it was a shooter and then started to run.
Kim Passoff is on the campus of UNLV for us this afternoon. Kim.
Yeah, I'm at the intersection of Maryland and Flamingo, and I was just speaking with Anna. And Anna, your sister is still there on campus, correct?
Yeah, she's still there on lockdown, so we're just waiting for her to come out and take her home.
Okay, and talk to me about that. There was a period of time where you couldn't get any communication through.
Yeah, my mom and I, we were trying to call her, but I'm pretty sure because she's in class, so she kept her phone in silence. So we could calling her and texting her, and we couldn't hear from her. So it was very stressing. But finally, I would say maybe like 40 minutes, an hour later, then she responded to us, and she's fine. So.
How difficult was that, knowing that there was an active shooter at UNLV and not being able to get a hold of your sister?
Honestly, I was just crying and shaking. My mother too. We didn't know what to do. There's nothing else that we can do till just to wait and hope that that she was okay. It was crazy.
And when you did get that call from her, talk to me about the sense of relief.
Oh yeah, it was a relief, but just still thinking like how this can be happening, like at the school. You can expect that in a club, stuff like that, when people's drinking, all kind of stuff. But in a college, like university, a school, it's you never wait, like you can't imagine that will happen, So yeah, it was a sense of relief. But then we think about like other kids that are not that lucky, and we think about the parents, how they're feeling, knowing that their kids were injured,
And Sarah, your sister is still on lockdown. Did they give you any indication as to how long she will be remaining on campus?
No, not at all. And we don't want to keep trying to call her and stuff because, so we're just waiting for her to let us know. I'm not sure if she's going to walk or she's going to be able to take her car. We don't know. We're just waiting.
But obviously, very glad to hear from her. That phone call came and changed everything.
I'm very glad too, yeah. And just, praying for the other families that are not so lucky like us.
Anna, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. So again, we are at the corner of Flamingo and Maryland. People are waiting here to hear from their loved ones, to get out of the classrooms where they are still locked down at this hour. We'll continue to bring you updates as we do get them. Reporting live, Kim Passoff, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
Hearing from so many family members, from parents coming to the perimeter.